Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to welcome you this morning to our service here in All Souls Church. For those of you who are visiting with us today, you're all very welcome. My name is Alan Kirk and I'm one of the elders here at the church. Reverend Chris and Isabella are currently in Italy and we wish them well on their journey. And we also wish our Assistant Minister Alistair Bell very well on his honeymoon, somewhere in a cruise ship around Alaska. Very lucky. Let us open this morning with a prayer. Holy and beautiful the custom which brings us together in the presence of the Most High, to face our ideals, to remember our loved ones in absence, to give thanks, to make confession, to offer forgiveness, to be enlightened and to be strengthened. Through this quiet hour breathes the worship of ages, the cathedral music of history. 3 unseen guests attend: faith, hope, and love. Let all our hearts prepare them a place. Amen. And can we join together to sing our first hymn this morning, which is hymn 43 in the red hymn books, King of Glory, King of Peace.
Morning, everybody. So this week I was inspired by Alan to think about journeys. So I'm going through a bit of a Tolkien phase at the moment anyway. I'm rereading The Hobbit and I'm really enjoying it. It's taken my mind off how much I'm melting in this heat. So I found this piece from one of Tolkien's books called Roads Go Ever On, and I thought it was very nice, so I'd like to share it with you today. Roads go ever, ever on, over rock and under tree, by caves where never sun has shone, by streams that never find the sea, over snow by winter sown, and through the merry flowers of June, over grass and over stone, and under mountains in the moon. Roads go ever, ever on, under cloud and under star, yet feet that wandering have gone turn at last to home afar. Eyes that fire and sword have seen, and horror in the halls of stone, look at last on meadows green, and trees and hills they long have known. The road goes ever on and on, down from the door where it began. Now far ahead the road has gone, and I must follow if I can, pursuing it with eager feet until it joins some larger way, where many paths and errands meet. The road goes ever on and on, down from the door where it began. Now far ahead the road has gone, and I must follow if I can, pursuing it with weary feet until it joins some larger way, where many paths and errands meet, and whither then, I cannot say. The road goes ever on and on, out from the door where it began. Now far ahead the road has gone, let others follow if they can. Let them a journey new begin, but I at last with weary feet will turn towards the lighted inn, my evening rest and sleep to meet. Still round the corner there may wait a new road or secret gate, and though I oft have passed them by, a day will come at last when I shall take the hidden paths that run west of the moon, east of the sun.
And just as the choir are coming up, you'll probably notice we're working with about half a choir at the moment. Some are ill, some are indisposed, some are on holiday. So we've started rehearsing again on Monday nights, and this is a new piece, but it's simple. And we're focusing for the next week or two on simple material. Now that's a very good time for you to come along and join us. Just to come, no obligation, and listen to what we're doing. See how much we enjoy it all, and go away inspired, knowing that you want to be one of us. So come along tomorrow night, 6 o'clock here in the church. You can come in through the back door, up the steps, and if you're enthused, have a wee chat with us, and we'll see what we can do with you. Today we're going to sing something which you all will be singing in worship eventually, but we'll introduce it to you if you don't know it. It's a modern contemporary setting of Psalm 23, the Lord's my shepherd, and it's by Stuart Townsend. You probably will recognize it.
Lord. Morning, everyone. How do you follow that? That's one of my favourite songs, Trevor, by the way. So I know it, but I'm still not joining the choir. For the second reading, I've done my time in the choir. For my second reading, Alan is along the lines of the journey, and I have, obviously, with my usual standard, gone completely something different. Well, it isn't. We talk about things about the journey, about the road and stuff, and sometimes a journey can be seen as like a thread through life. And I love this wee piece. It's by a guy called Parker J. Palmer. Everything falls away. There's a thread you follow. It goes among things that change, but doesn't change. Sooner or later, everything falls away. You, the work you've done, your success, large and small, your failures too. Those moments when you were light, alongside the times you became one with the night. The friends, the people you loved, who loved you, those who might have wished you ill. None of this is forever. All of it is soon to go, or going, or gone. Everything falls away, except the thread that you followed unknowingly all along. The thread that strings together all you've been and done. The thread that you didn't know you were tracking until, toward the end, you see that the thread is what stays as everything else falls away. Follow that thread as far as you can, and you'll find that it does not end, but weaves into the unimaginable vastness of life. Your life never was the solo turn it seemed to be. It was always part of the great weave of nature and humanity, an immensity we can come to know only as we follow our own small threads to the place where they merge with the boundless whole. Each of our threads runs its course, then joins in life together, this magnificent tapestry, this masterpiece in which we live forever. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Trish. May we join together in prayer. For the expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies filling us with awe and challenging our imaginations, we give thanks this day. For this fragile planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons, we give thanks this day. For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements, we give thanks this day. For our human community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression, we give thanks this day. For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared, we give thanks this day. For all who have laboured and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so that others may live in dignity and freedom, we give thanks this day. For human liberty and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose, we give thanks this day. And now our elder Roger Courtney will lead us in the prayer that Jesus taught us.
So, as is traditional in All Souls, let us stand together in body or in spirit and say the prayer that Jesus taught his disciples. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
And now may we stand to sing our second hymn, hymn number 55, Wisdom Divine.
Thank
As you will have gathered from the readings that were shared with us today so beautifully by Eve and by Trish, I wanted to provide this morning a bit of a reflection on journeys and journeying. As I was thinking during the week that journeys, both literal and figurative, seem to have surrounded me at every step. Literally speaking, I've just returned in the past few weeks from Mallorca and London. Our very own Reverend Chris and Isabella are currently on a trip to Italy. Our assistant minister enjoying his honeymoon and his husband. Freudian slip. Our assistant minister enjoying his honeymoon with his husband on a cruise somewhere around Alaska. And so many of you have shared other stories of summer adventures. In my professional world, I am working with hundreds of young people taking their first steps in a new class or a new year group. More specifically, we have 140 11 and 12-year-olds making the transition from primary to grammar school life. One of those pupils remarked to me this week as she was getting to grips with pronouncing her few words in French that she seemed to be stumbling a lot over her words. That's no problem, I reassured her. Just like any journey, we all have to start somewhere. And in no time at all, you won't be stumbling, you'll be running. But what do the scriptures say about travels? This morning, I'm going to remind us of all of 4 verses. Now, the reflections might take us in a slightly different direction from where they were started, or indeed from where the psalmist or whoever has written the particular words would have wanted, but that's okay. And I also want to recall a few of my own trips over the years, whilst ever being the language teacher, throwing in a few language challenges for good measure. Now, on the screen now... No. Yes. On the screen now, we have a picture and a verse. I'm going to share the verse with you, first of all, in French. Si je prends les ailes de l'aurore et que j'aille habiter à l'extrémité de la mer, là aussi ta main me conduira et ta droite me saisira. And for those of you who it's been maybe some time since you've been in a French classroom, that is, if I rise on the wings of the dawn and if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me, your right hand will hold me fast. Now, why have it in French, I hear you ask? Well, the image that is on the screen at the moment depicts one of my favourite views. It's a glorious view from the gardens and terrace of the Notre-Dame de Fourvière Basilica in Lyon. Now, this city is very significant to me, as it's the city in which I spent a year living and teaching in a very challenging suburban secondary school, or lycée de banlieue, which I absolutely loved. And as much as this view always evokes happy memories for me, however, like many stories, there are often 2 sides, one that's positive and another which is considerably less so. As beautiful as this place is, I do remember looking out over this view in October 2007 with tears in my eyes as I was feeling rather homesick. Our greatest journeys often begin with difficult goodbyes, and in the few days previous to this, I'd waved my parents off at the Perrache train station, and up until this point, I had been, like most boys from Ballymena, a bit of a homebird. So living in this city, new country, speaking a new language, was for me as daunting as it was exciting. However, like the wings mentioned in the verse, before leaving, my late grandmother had shared some words of wisdom with me about baby birds flying their nest and learning to fly with themselves. And with that in mind, and with the help of my wonderful famille française, or French family, Alex and Gilles, I quickly found my feet, found a lovely flat, and made really good friends. On our days off, we would take train journeys to different towns and cities, from Avignon to Dijon, from Montpellier to Marseille. We had a wonderful time exploring the sights, the sounds, and the smells of the cities. And very regularly, these were cathedrals and old churches, because that's what you do when you visit cities abroad. On my work days, I loved working in the lycée, and I know for a fact that this is where I fell in love with teaching, and it's a job that I still love to this day. At the end of my trip, it was unsurprising that the tears and sadness experienced in my first few days was equally matched by my reluctance about leaving my new French home. And to this day, when I visit Lyon, my visit feels like a tremendous homecoming. Many of the journeys we set about on in life bring exceptional growth. Now, on the screen now, there should be another picture with another verse. And this is a verse which I'm going to read for you in Spanish. Instruye al niño en su camino, y aun cuando fuere viejo, no se apartará de él. So from Proverbs 22:6, start children off on the way they should go, and even when they're old, they will not turn from it. And as I said about some journeys taking us far from where we started, and others bring us back to places we've been to before, it was in 1993, at the tender age of 6, that I took my first steps down this rocky path to the beautiful golden sands of the Calagran beach in Calador, Mallorca. At the time, I enjoyed all the things a 6-year-old likes to do on the beach: finding rocks, paddling in the sea, and most of all, building sandcastles. And I have to admit, I was something of a pro. Firstly, as an avid fan of castles, I knew that any of my creations would need a strong wall to protect from the invading waves of the Mediterranean Sea. Secondly, I was very resourceful and knew that wooden lollipop sticks would make very appropriate flagpoles from which imaginary banners would herald the arrival of Narnian kings and queens for coronations, banquets, and battles. I had a very vivid imagination. However, regardless of my best efforts, my constructions would often succumb to the rising tide. My imaginary worlds would be flooded with seawater. But I wasn't ready to stop there. Thanks to Sunday school, and we're blessed here to also have the kids club, which we ran last week, but thanks to Sunday school, I knew that only a fool would build his house on the sand. So ever the ingenious designer, ever the wise man, I decided to start building my sandcastles on the rocks at the side of the cove. In this way, they wouldn't be so prone to collapse due to flooding. Success! I was delighted. While other children were kicking water away from their sandcastles, here mine were, perched on a rock with exceptional sea views. That was, of course, until some rather rambunctious older local children decided to embrace their inner Goliath moment and stood on the top of my creations and my castles and flattening them, and to be met with some choice words from my ever-protective mother. Nevertheless, my trauma wasn't long-lasting, and I'm pleased to report that 30 years later, I'm still following in the same footsteps my mother and father took me on all these years ago, and we still enjoy a family holiday at this resort, at this very beach, each year. In this case, my journey is now a familiar one. Journeys don't always have to be about discovery. They can be an opportunity to unwind, take stock, and appreciate all that's good. And yes, I do still enjoy building the odd sandcastle when I'm there. Now, the third slide on the screen is going to be somewhat of a challenge for me. As we can see here, this is the mountain of Croagh-Patrick. And we have here a verse in 2 languages, one in English and one in Irish. And it says, Nar liga sé dich tishlu gojo, nar yana do yarda kolu. Psalm 121:3. He will never let you stumble. Your guard will not let you sleep. Or your guard will not sleep, should I say. While some journeys, like my recent holiday, allow us to remain very much in our comfort zones, others are designed to drag us out of them and challenge us to try new things which we may believe difficult or verging on impossible. This is partly why I challenged myself to attempt a few lines in Irish a few moments ago, because I've never learnt it before, and I thank my former colleague, Dr. Barrow Herewine, for his tips on intonation and pronunciation. I had to listen to that quite a few times on my phone this morning before coming here. And as I've often said, despite the fact that I've just joined Slimming World in the past 2 weeks, I have been built for comfort rather than speed. So a few years ago, when I challenged myself to climb Croagh with my friends Chris and Keeley while staying down in Westport, I knew this wouldn't be comparable with the time I climbed Slamish as a child. In Psalm 121, we hear that of our feet not being allowed to stumble. How I wish that had been the case climbing Croagh. Much of the reek, or the peak, as the peak is locally known in the area, is made up of loose stones. So for a very considerable stretch of the hike up the mountain, it feels that you take several steps back as you move forward. However, it's amazing what a truckload of determination with just a dash of stubbornness can do in helping you to reach your goals. After a few hours of a climb with a well-placed picnic half the way, the three of us made it to the top of the peak with our shoes on. I hasten to add, we didn't do it on St. Patrick's Day where we would have to take our shoes off to do the pilgrimage. That would have been a step too far. Now, on climbing to the top of any viewpoint, of course, the main centre of attraction should be the view. Now, Irish weather, as we know, can be unreliable. And unluckily for us, the mist had descended literally as we reached the top, so we didn't actually get a chance to see the view that is sent out on the postcards all around the world, and indeed like the one that is here. The journey, however, was not a wasted one. And the sense of accomplishment that I had that day far outweighed any disappointment I had about not seeing very much. On top of that, I don't think I've ever enjoyed a hot shower, a good dinner, and an early night as much as I did on the time after my descent. So regardless of the stumbles we may face in a journey, we find that reaching an unexpected location can often be an awe-inspiring achievement. The next picture on the screen will have some faces that are familiar to us with our friends from Iran. And now where I set myself the biggest challenge of them all, with the two verses. Shalom eto cherorer ro renore manast, nurias keroror pishapoyam rushan misozat. As it says in Psalm 119 and 105, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. On nighttime car journeys, we literally would be lost without our headlights to show the way. This is an experience I had recently as I've just got a new car and was trying to work out how to do the dip in my headlights, and then discovered as it was an automatic car, it did it for itself. So that problem was outweighed. But as many of us would use the Bible or whatever to illuminate the way in life, we as humans should also strive to be beacons of light in our interactions with others, always showing kindness, tolerance and openness to new ideas and embracing the opportunities which this holds. This morning I am very thankful for the opportunity to attempt to address our dear friends from Iran this morning in their first language. And may I also say thank you to Sam for his assistance in getting my head around some very complicated sounds. And again, I did have to spend quite a few times playing that sound file back so that I could hear. So I hope that I managed to convey something of the original in my efforts this morning. May I also say that as a linguist, that I'm often in awe of how our friends have adapted to our multitude of accents and variations of pronunciation. How things are said in Ballymena are often very different to how they're said in Belfast. How they're said in Belfast, very different to Dublin, and in this church we have all three at once. As someone who has worked and lived abroad, regardless of levels of fluency, it's sometimes such a relief to hear familiar words in your own language. Indeed, I recall a number of times when a few friendly words in English in the midst of navigating my way through complicated circumstances like setting up a bank account or going to the bank or the post office or whatever, hearing some words in English were like glimmers of light in a dark tunnel. And this is why I felt it so important to speak a few words of Farsi this morning, as we are blessed to have a growing community here in All Souls for whom this is their first language. A number of years ago in a previous school, I had a poster in my classroom which stated that a smile is the same in every language. Like a light to a pathway, a friendly smile, a welcome, and a kind word to the companions we meet on our journey brighten our interactions, relationships, and conversations. Similarly, the richness of our cultural diversity also plays a role in enlightening our lives and our experiences. In bringing this short reflection to a close this morning, I would like to leave much of what has been said, as Chris sometimes says, for your own interpretations. But I leave you with a few words from Benedictus, from John O'Donoghue, who wrote this blessing for the traveller. Every time you leave home, another road takes you into a world you were never in. New strangers on other paths await. New places that have never seen you will startle a little at your entry. Old places that know you well will pretend nothing changed since your last visit. When you travel, a new silence goes with you. And if you listen, you will hear what your heart would love to say. A journey can become a sacred thing. Make sure, before you go, to take the time to bless your going forth, to free your heart of reluctance, so that the compass of your soul might direct you towards the territories of spirit, where you will discover more of your hidden life and the urgencies that deserve to claim you. May you travel safely, arrive refreshed, and live your time away to its fullest. Return home more enriched and free to balance the gift of days which call you. Amen. And now we'll hear from our good friend Brian.
Thank you, Alan. Good morning, everyone. I'm always very happy to sing in All Souls, and the song that I always get the most requests for, I'm gonna sing it again for you. This song, it's hard to believe in our world today that there are people, even in our own communities, that are struggling to even have enough to eat. And this song is really a fantastic sort of, I can picture it in my mind. It was written by a guy called Shel Silverstein, who was a great songwriter. He wrote many songs for different people. He wrote a boy named Sue for Johnny Cash. But he wrote this one here, and It's about the Great Depression in America when a family were really struggling. They just didn't have enough, really hard times. So the mother used to get a pot, fill it with water, boil it up, and put some potatoes in it. And then she had she told the kids that she had a magical stone that hung on the wall. And she used to take the stone down, put it in the pot, stir it round, and then pretend that there was chicken and noodles, tomatoes, all these different things in the pot. And when things were really bad. And this is, as I say, Shel Silverstein explains this really well in this song. It's called The Wonderful Soup Stone. I swear you could taste the chicken and tomatoes and the noodles and the marrow bone, but it really wasn't nothing but some water and potatoes and the wonderful, wonderful soup stone. Hanging from a string in my mama's kitchen back in the hard time days was a little old stone about the size of an apple. It was smooth and worn and gray. There wasn't much food in my mama's kitchen, but whenever things got tight, Mama'd boil up some water, put in the stone and say, let's have some soup tonight. And I swear you could taste the chicken and tomatoes and the noodles and the marrow bone, but it really wasn't nothing but some water and potatoes and a wonderful, wonderful soup stone. It had been in the family for a whole lot of years, so we knew it was a nourishing thing. And I remember Mama as she stirred it in the water, and we could all hear her say, it's a magical stone, and as long as we've got it, we'll never have a hungry night. Just add a little love to the wonderful soup stone, and everything will be alright. And again I could taste the chicken and tomatoes and the noodles and the marrow bone, but it really wasn't nothing but some water and potatoes and a wonderful, wonderful soup stone. Well, it carried us all through the darkening days till finally the sunshine came, and the soup stone had started to gather in dust, but it hung there just the same. And ever since then the food's been plenty, but every now and then I find my mama in the kitchen and the wonderful soup stone drifts across my mind. And again I can taste the chicken and tomatoes and the noodles and the marrow bone, but it really wasn't nothing but some water and potatoes and a wonderful, wonderful soup stone. Yes, again I can taste the chicken and tomatoes and the noodles and the marrow bone, but it really wasn't nothing but some water and potatoes and the wonderful, wonderful soup stone. Thank you.
Okay, just a few notices and announcements for everyone this morning. First of all, many thanks for the beautiful flowers that are at the front of the church. Bernie arranged those for us this morning, and Anne and Ken contributed some flowers as well as the ones from the garden, and I think you'll agree they look lovely this morning. Secondly, for anyone who wishes to attend Linda Kane's ordination in Ballyclare, please remember to reply to the email address that was sent out for Evelyn Maharg in the email last week from Reverend Chris. That's evelyn.maharg@googlemail.com. That RSVP needs to be in by tomorrow. The ordination will take place on Saturday the 23rd of September at 3 p.m. It's a service that I'm looking forward to. As many of you know, some people think that Linda is my actual sister, but in fact I'm an only child, but we refer to each other as brother and sister, and I am delighted to have been invited to speak, do a reading at that service. And I'm really looking forward as she takes her first step in her journey now as becoming Reverend Linda Kane of Ballyclare, Cairncastle and Ballymoney. And it's wonderful that we will have someone here, someone from All Souls in those churches with delivering a liberal Christian message to the people in those areas. This week here in All Souls, on Thursday the 14th, our chapter chat group will be starting. It's kind of Bible study with a difference. The first story that we will be looking at is the story of the prodigal son, and we'll be meeting downstairs in the crypt. I know that sometimes sounds creepy, but yes, down in the crypt. It's very nice. We have it. There is sofas, chairs. It's very comfortable, and all are welcome at 7:30. And any more details, speak to Trish or myself. Then on Thursday, the 21st of September, the Your Space group will meet at the same time, 7:30, in the crypt for a movie night. The movie that we will be watching is The Shack, and again, everyone is welcome. And if you want to bring a friend along, please do. This is the idea behind Your Space, is that it is a social group. It's not necessarily anything particularly theological. It's just an opportunity to hang out, watch film, have a few snacks, and get to know each other a little better. If you have any more questions about the film, Trish is your woman. She will fill you in with all the details that you need. Also, I would like to, if I can get this turned. These are great little clips, but they're very tight. Yes, also I want to say a special congratulations this morning to Andrew and Bernard, who are visiting with us today. Andrew and Bernard have recently become granddads, and we send our very best wishes to Leslie and to Jackie and to baby Oren Andrew over in Scotland. And I'm told he was 8 pounds and 8 ounces, is that right? So a round of applause, please, for the granddads. And if you bring them over to visit on the first Sunday of the month, they can take part in the Kids Club that does all sorts of wonderful things with our elder Sheena and Louise as well. So you can bear that in mind. You can put that date in your diaries. Finally, next week we look forward to inviting Dr. Tony McCauley to lead our service. Tony is with us with Leslie this morning. It's lovely to have you. It's always lovely to have you here. And we really look forward to what you have to say to us next week. And the service the following week will be taken by our very own Trevor. And again, we look forward to hearing what Trevor will talk to us about in a slightly different role to what we're used to him in. Your offering will now be received. Just another short notice. It was all going so well until I made a mistake. The chapter chat group, I'm told, starts at 7 o'clock rather than 7:30. So if you arrive at 7:30, we'll probably already have started. So if you turn up for 7, please, that would be super. Also, just to remind everybody, especially those who are visiting with us today, we have tea and coffee and treats at the back of the church every Sunday. It's an opportunity for people to stay behind, to get us to know each other a little bit better. And Trevor.
Thank you, Alan. This is my fault. 2 weeks from today, yes, I'm presiding at the service, but I actually won't be speaking that day because it's just been agreed. I'm delighted to tell you that Norman Richardson will share with us that Sunday something of his experiences in life, in respect of peace and reconciliation and good relations in a number of spheres. I don't know exactly how Norman's going to do it, but I'm looking forward very much to that. And that, just to give an extra week's notice for that. Sorry, Alan, I should have thought and tipped you off.
No problem. Thank you. And now may we join together in our final hymn, hymn number 328, Lead Us, Heavenly Father. For all those who see God, may God go with you. For all those who embrace life, may life return your affection. For all those who seek a right path, may a way be found. And may God give you the courage to venture it step by step. Amen, and may God bless you all. Go in peace.